Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. Sometimes a man walks into a woman's life thinking he's seen it all, thinking he knows exactly how everything works. He's got this little script in his mind about what women do, what women say, how women react, and how the story usually goes. But then suddenly, boom, he meets a woman who doesn't play by his script. She doesn't follow his expectations. She rewrites the whole story without even trying. And that's when he realizes, hold up, she's not like the others. I didn't see this coming. The men often think they have women figured out, but a truly unique woman surprises him in ways he never saw coming. And this is where the entire dynamic shifts. A man can walk through life believing he knows every reaction, every emotional pattern, every typical response because he has seen a certain type of behavior repeated again and again. He starts to think he has a formula, a script he believes all women follow. But then suddenly he meets a woman who doesn't play by those predictable patterns, who doesn't respond the way he expected, who doesn't fall into the roles he assumed. She challenges everything he thought he understood. She surprises him not just with her behavior, but with her presence, her strength, and the quiet confidence she carries. She listens differently, she speaks differently, she carries herself with an energy that is not loud, yet cannot be ignored. She doesn't try to impress him, she doesn't try to win him, and that alone disarms him. He expects effort, he expects someone trying to prove themselves, but she gives him none of that. She simply shows up as who she is, and that is more powerful than any performance. This kind of woman makes a man pause. She catches him off guard, not because she is trying to be mysterious, but because she is naturally authentic in a world where many feel pressured to fit a mold. A unique woman stands firmly in her identity, and that immediately shifts how a man sees her. He starts noticing details he never paid attention to before: how calm she is under pressure, how she doesn't rush to respond, how she doesn't seek validation, how she respects herself without making announcements about it. He notices how she communicates, how she sets boundaries with grace instead of anger, how she refuses to participate in drama, and how she values her peace above everything else. These qualities confuse him at first because they interrupt the patterns he is used to. When he says something to test her reaction, she doesn't react. When he tries to impress her, she doesn't get dazzled. When he holds back, she doesn't chase. Every response she gives is the opposite of what he expected, and that is where the magic lies. Suddenly he starts seeing that the rules he used to play by don't apply here. He realizes he can't approach her with games, half-truths, or empty promises because she sees through all of that instantly. She forces him, without a single word, to step into a higher version of himself if he wants to be part of her world. A woman like this becomes unforgettable because she awakens something in a man: respect, not desire, not infatuation, but real respect, the kind that changes how he thinks, speaks, and behaves. She becomes the exception to every assumption he ever had, and once he experiences that, he can never go back to the way things were. A woman who knows her worth changes how a man behaves, thinks, and loves because her presence alone demands a different kind of energy from him. When a woman truly understands her own value, she carries herself in a way that a man cannot ignore, cannot play with, and cannot simply categorize like everyone else. She doesn't walk around announcing her strength. It shows in the way she talks, the way she listens, the way she makes decisions, and the way she protects her peace. A man recognizes very quickly when he is dealing with a woman who values herself because she doesn't allow confusion, she doesn't entertain mixed signals, and she doesn't get impressed by superficial effort. She expects consistency, honesty, and effort. Not because she is difficult, but because she refuses to accept less than what aligns with her worth. This forces a man to think differently, to question his own patterns, and to rise above the behaviors he once got away with. He begins to understand that he cannot enter her life with unresolved issues, childish games, or temporary intentions. She will walk away from all of that without hesitation. And that becomes a turning point for him. A woman who knows her worth makes a man evaluate himself not out of pressure, but out of admiration. He starts asking himself if he is showing up the way she deserves, if he is communicating with clarity, if he is contributing to her peace instead of disturbing it. Her presence makes him want to put in genuine effort because he knows effort is the only currency she recognizes. This kind of woman doesn't beg for love or chase validation. She creates standards by the way she treats herself. She can be caring, loving, gentle, and supportive, but every bit of that softness is backed by firm boundaries, and men respect boundaries far more than demands. A man realizes quickly that he must bring emotional maturity, responsibility, and clarity into the relationship because she will not tolerate inconsistency disguised as affection. She will not settle for half love, half time, or half effort, and that truth shifts him into a better version of himself. When a woman knows her worth, she brings out a part of a man he didn't know existed. She inspires stability where there was chaos, commitment where there was hesitation, and growth where there was comfort. She doesn't try to change him. She simply shows him what a healthy connection looks like, and he chooses to change himself. And that's what makes her impact so powerful. A man finds himself wanting to protect her, honor her, and show up for her, not because she demands it, but because he recognizes that a woman like her is rare. She teaches him without teaching that love should feel safe, respectful, and intentional. Her worth becomes a mirror that reflects who he truly is, showing him whether he is ready for the kind of woman who expects the best because she gives the best. When a woman sets standards, she teaches a man how to treat her because standards are not demands or ultimatums. They are quiet instructions about what she will and will not accept, and they shape the entire foundation of how a man approaches her. A woman with standards doesn't have to raise her voice, explain herself repeatedly, or prove her worth to anyone. Her actions do all the teaching. She shows through her consistency that respect is non-negotiable, honesty is expected, and effort is the only language she responds to. A man quickly realizes that he cannot treat her casually if he wants a place in her life. He begins to see that she doesn't reward inconsistency, she doesn't give second chances to the same mistake, and she doesn't entertain half-hearted energy. Instead of pleading or accepting less, she simply steps back, and that silence becomes more powerful than anything she could have said. Her standards create a space where only a man with real intentions can enter, and that alone eliminates the ones who are not ready. A woman like this is not rude or difficult. She is clear. Clarity is something men are not always used to, and it forces them to either rise to meet her level or fade out on their own. When she sets these standards, she is not punishing him. She is guiding him toward the kind of treatment she deserves, the kind of relationship she expects, and the kind of emotional environment she refuses to compromise on. A man begins to understand that he must communicate directly, show up consistently, and act with purpose because she measures him by what he does, not what he says. He learns that if he wants to keep her, he has to be dependable when it matters, present when she needs him, and respectful even in moments of disagreement. Her standards become a powerful filter that separates men who are serious from men who are simply passing time. She never lowers these standards out of loneliness or impatience because she knows that lowering them only teaches a man that he can give less than what she deserves. Instead, she holds steady, and in doing so, she becomes a woman a man feels proud to protect, value, and commit to. She teaches him through her behavior that love is not supposed to be chaotic, disrespectful, uncertain, or draining. She teaches him that real partnership requires consistency, accountability, emotional maturity, and reciprocity. And the man who truly wants her will adjust. He will listen, he will grow, and he will step into a better version of himself because he recognizes that a woman with standards is not a challenge to conquer, but a blessing to rise to. Her standards help him understand how to love her, how to talk to her, how to support her, and how to build something meaningful with her. Through her firmness and grace, he learns that the way he treats her determines the future he has with her, and that realization transforms not only the relationship, but the man himself. A man becomes better when he realizes he has met someone rare, not replaceable, because the presence of a woman who carries genuine strength, self-respect, and emotional maturity changes the way he views not only her but himself. When a woman is truly rare, she stands apart from the noise and patterns he has grown used to. She doesn't entertain drama, she doesn't fall for empty words, and she doesn't allow herself to be treated as an option. She brings a calm confidence into his life that makes him reflect on his actions and question whether he is showing up in a way that honors her presence. He begins to understand that he cannot approach her casually because she is not someone who waits around, tolerates disrespect, or accepts half effort. He recognizes quickly that she is not like the women he has taken for granted before. She is a woman who adds value, peace, and meaning, and a man instinctively protects what he values. Her uniqueness challenges him to evolve, not because she pressures him, but because he doesn't want to lose the feeling she brings into his life. Her love is steady, her energy is pure, and her loyalty is intentional, and those qualities make him see parts of himself he never acknowledged before. He starts making better decisions, communicating more honestly, and handling life with more responsibility because he wants to be worthy of her. Her presence becomes a mirror that reflects both his strengths and his weaknesses, and he feels motivated to grow because he knows that growth is required to keep a woman of her caliber. He realizes that she is not impressed by temporary gestures or shallow charm. She pays attention to consistency, effort, and integrity. And so he adjusts, he listens more, he understands more deeply, and he becomes more intentional. A rare woman doesn't just accept his potential, she inspires him to use it. She doesn't nag him into being better. She silently elevates the standard by being exactly who she is. He sees that she treats him with respect, communicates with honesty, supports him with sincerity, and carries herself with dignity. And he doesn't want to be the reason she dims any of those qualities. Her rarity becomes something he fears losing because he knows another woman like her will not come around again. That fear is not rooted in insecurity, but in recognition. Recognition that real loyalty is hard to find, that emotional intelligence is a gift, and that a peaceful woman is worth protecting. He becomes better because she gives him something to rise toward. She becomes the reminder that he is capable of being a stronger, wiser, more present man. Her existence proves that meaningful connection still exists, and that truth changes him. A rare woman doesn't just touch a man's heart, she reshapes his character. She shows him what love could be if he chooses growth over comfort, effort over excuses, and commitment over confusion. And once a man sees that clearly, he cannot go back to the version of himself that lived without her influence. The moment he discovers she's not like other women, his respect, commitment, and seriousness increase immediately because a man instantly recognizes when he is dealing with someone who brings a different level of energy, maturity, and authenticity into his life. At first, he may not even fully understand what makes her different, he just feels it. There is something about the way she carries herself, something about the way she speaks with clarity, something about the calmness she brings that doesn't shake under pressure. She doesn't crave attention, yet she receives it naturally. She doesn't compete with anyone, yet she stands out effortlessly. She doesn't beg for love, yet she inspires genuine affection, loyalty, and effort. A man is not used to that because he is used to patterns, familiar behaviors, predictable reactions, and situations that feel the same. But when he meets a woman who breaks that pattern, he pays attention in a way he never has before. Suddenly, he listens more carefully. He chooses his words with intention. He becomes aware of how she interprets his actions because he doesn't want to disappoint her. She carries a combination of strength and softness that makes him feel safe enough to open up, but challenged enough to grow. She is compassionate but not blind, loving but not weak, understanding but not tolerant of disrespect. And this balance pulls him toward becoming a better man. He realizes she doesn't argue to win. She communicates to understand. She doesn't punish mistakes. She pays attention to whether he learns from them. She doesn't demand time. She values presence. A woman like this doesn't have to remind a man of her worth. He feels it. And because he feels it, he naturally becomes more serious about her. He becomes protective, not possessive, committed, not controlling, present, not inconsistent. He begins to trust her with his thoughts, his fears, his dreams, because she creates an emotional space where he does not feel judged or misunderstood. The more he sees her consistency, the more he respects her. The more he sees her loyalty, the more he values her. The more he sees her honesty, the more he becomes honest himself. Respect comes first, then admiration, then commitment. He starts planning instead of guessing, showing instead of talking, building instead of promising. He understands that a woman like her is not temporary. She is the kind of woman who becomes a turning point in a man's life. She makes him realize that love doesn't have to be chaotic, draining, or confusing. It can be peaceful, supportive, and steady. And once he experiences that, he never wants to return to anything less. His seriousness increases because he doesn't want to lose her to someone who will match her energy. If he doesn't, he knows he has met a woman who is rare, valuable, and unforgettable, and that realization pushes him to give the best version of himself, not because she demands it, but because she inspires it simply by being who she is.